How do you find meaning in your life?
I give the meaning to my life. And I believe everyone does too. Because I believe there is no really meaning as real meaning. If the real meaning universally, I would say, is to express and create and see. Simple way to say is to live and express. And that's where I'm recently on. And I think that's what matters the most, really. Self-expression by finding out who I am and reflecting on other people. That's my meaning of life at the moment. I'm aware it might change though, so bear with me.
Everything's up for change, right? Everything's
Exactly.
fluid.
Exactly.
How do you find your own voice?
I became aware that my voice is the voice within myself that is sounding and listening at the same time. It's beyond this body. So that's the voice that is me that I found within myself. And then it comes out through this mouth that I'm speaking here through this body. And I'm finding my voice actually when I truly listen. So then that voice just comes and sings and talks to me, which is beyond this mouth that moves.
So you have to go inside, and then it's constantly evolving.
Yes, basically, I'm finding my voice by constantly listening. Because my voice, it has nothing to do with the body. I'm aware about it already. There is, just to reflect on that, there is the voice within me which sounds and listens at the same time. And there is this I beyond space and time. And I believe that's these two original things that most likely I am as the nature of life. So I'm listening to hear that voice, which comes sometimes as my thoughts. Sometimes it changes a little bit and sounds like nearly some other part of me speaking to me, which might sound like nearly some spirit guides for some people or something. And then it comes. That's how I find my voice. That's how I find my voice. I'm listening, so the voice can speak.
I like that. How do you deal with loss?
With loss, I consider myself not to be a person who lost many things, reflecting on the people around me that I meet. I was raised in a quite good family with not many losses as from my relationships, family relationships. I had the biggest one with my grandmother when I was 3 years old and she passed. No one told me what it is. And it really traumatized me in general, and I was always avoiding, especially passing of the people, as to say. Yet I'm aware that life is, these days at least, I'm aware that this is very temporary. I believe in reincarnation. Feels like, from my personal experience, I've been here thousands of years on different lands, and I lost so many things in those lives. This lifetime, I lost some close people. They taught me, grandma, for example, that that's the cycle of life. We come and we go, and at the same time, these people, they don't truly leave until we remember them. And then from the loss on more personal level, for example, a loss of some physical things, a loss of relationship, a loss of, let's say, my project that I've been working on, and then it just falls apart. I'm just being aware that everything is temporary. It comes and goes. And if I lose something, there is a big teaching about it. So I'm humbling myself to receive the guidance. Why I'm losing these things, there is always a teaching afterwards and more intro perspective why I lost it. It gets revealed later in a way. Yet in the present moment, I don't. That's the thing. I don't really feel like there is a loss. I believe more like things come and go to me, and a lot is beyond my control, while partly I'm still making decisions from my thoughts to my actions, which either lead me to gain or to lose, and it's a part of the game. Uh, so when I lose, I'm just kind of relax, and I'm accepting that, ooh, I lost something, and I'm aware that's a part of life, and I carry on. And I'm aware that later on I'm gonna find out why I lost it, because a simple example, I got my bike nicked outside of the shop in 20 seconds. And later on, actually, strangely, I had some insights that I avoided the car accident and crash. I don't know how much it is of my own personal creation or guidance from some higher realms. That's what I received. So it was not so bad at the end. Maybe it's better to lose the bike that day and not to get somewhere, instead of having a bike crash, losing the bike, and maybe some of the health. So comes and goes, we lose and we gain, and it's a part of life. I'm accepting all sides mostly equally.
How do you handle conflict?
Conflict. Ooh. The way I handle conflict is being really present about myself and what is really happening within me. Because most likely there is my mind wanting to confront another person, to add something to the story. At the same time, maybe my mind feels very uncomfortable with some things being said to me, let's say. They may be bringing me down. And then I feel a lot. I'm quite sensitive, empathic person, so I feel a lot within myself. So then when there is a conflict happening, I just do my best to really be aware about my feelings and my thought patterns. So instead of straight reaction towards another person and what is happening there, I do my best to pause a little bit, reflect on how I feel in the moment, really witness another person and see what they are going through, and do my best to respond instead of reacting. So then I can find a bit more maybe lighter words to put my thoughts into, maybe approach a bit more with more kindness and compassion. And I'm very resolution and solution based person. So when there is a conflict, I'm being aware about myself, reflecting how I feel, what I think, and responding instead of reacting. And at the same time, in my background, looking for the solution where this conflict might take. Because every conflict, I believe, is needed for both parties to have a look where both parties stand. Even if it's causing uncomfortable situation, still there is a lot of revelation happening while the conflict is happening. So yeah, I would say I do my best to be present about my thoughts and a lot about the feelings, because that's the one really can take over easily. Responding instead of reacting, and being in the conflict, looking for the ways to approach the conflict with maybe questions or some ideas to lead towards the solution and resolution, so that conflict doesn't repeat itself, and it's kind of job done, isn't it?
I'm going to pause for the next question and just to let that plane go.
Yeah. Wow, that's some really interesting questions, man.
How do you manage your self-talk?
My self-talk? What, you mean that voice that I just mentioned before in my head? Okay, that's interesting, man. I'm aware at least that there are three of me main ones within myself. So there is this poor me, which is always uncomfortable, unhappy, full ready to complain, criticize, judge, and that's a part of me, which comes in the sounds, like this self-talking. Then there is another one of me, which is nearly opposite of that, is more positive, encouraged, inspired, strong, and knowing at the same time. And then there is the third one, which is more like a witness of those both, I would call it. Yet at the same time, I'm aware that from that witness, I can move myself. There is this third one, which is witnessing both two, let's say, negative and positive. And there is the third one, which is awareness in general, yet at the same time, I can move from that point of awareness. So it doesn't become the positive one or negative one, it becomes the one who is aware about these two and going in between. And for example, even now, uh, I can choose whatever I want to say. For example, Africa or blue sky. And I believe that that's my real authentic self witnessing my positive and my negative. Some people call it ego. It's still a part of my psyche. But yet this third one is mostly that making the decisions to go beyond that positive and negative and go somewhere in between. So I don't take those two very seriously in a way, like of the management perspective. I'm aware like, okay, that's a poor me, okay, that's a powerful me, you know. So then I'm kind of blending them together a little bit, and then I'm choosing something in between. Uh, and at the same time, I don't allow them to take over, either positive or negative, you know, because too much positivity is not good in my life. I start to become stubborn and I don't improve myself, and too much negativity is draining me down as well, uh, and it's low energy. So I'm kind of somewhere in between, and yeah, just listening to those two, being aware about them, and not taking them too seriously. And I think that's the way. No matter how crazy my thoughts, ideas will come, I would be like, oh wow, that's interesting. I thought this. Oh wow, that's interesting. I thought this. Yet it doesn't lead too much to action towards that, or like really continuing to that pattern in a way. So I'm just more stepping back to myself and my present Nelly self in the moment, and being aware that okay, I am thinking and I'm daydreaming at the same time, and it's absolutely fine. And that's what happens within me. So I'm just like, ooh, left and right and in the middle, and keeping balance, you know, keeping the balance.
How do you define your boundaries?
Boundaries are very movable thing with the boundaries. Um, they very needed. Recently, I'm encouraging myself to have more boundaries for myself personally and for the people around me as well, regarding my energy, my time. Yet, it's very, how to put it, it's very temporarily locked in. So, for example, the boundary that I have today towards uh, social environments, for example, if I go somewhere where I don't know anyone, and some people will approach me or things like that, and they will start to talk to me or so on, uh, there's going to be more likely the boundary based on the very present moment. I'm going to feel how I feel with the people, how I feel with myself, and then in that kind of nearly present moment, I'm going to draw some kind of boundary between myself and maybe other people, while at the same time I'm being aware what that boundary is, and if I'm going to move it somewhere else. Because there were many times where I met some people that I never knew before. It was first time, or we knew each other for some time, like a bit more on this, let's say, surface level of friendships. And then we start talking about something, you know, and then I have this boundary, sort of, you know, that maybe there are some subjects I'm not willing to talk to, and so on. So then it happens that during the conversation, that boundary starts to shift depending how another person is communicating with me and how much they opening up to themselves. So then if they opening themselves more, or I open myself more, I'm like thinking, okay, you know, let me cross my boundary and let open myself more beyond my own personal boundary. And in this way, I'm nearly sometimes feel I'm encouraging maybe other people to step beyond their boundaries. And as soon as one party does, either me or another person, I feel like, ooh, that boundary moved, you know, we are going deeper now. Like, maybe let's talk about relationships, you know, ooh, we're going deeper. They're going to tell me what they really experienced and what it was, and maybe something triggered them. So then when that boundary moves from another side, I'm moving my own too. I'm not staying in my boundary. And I had so many amazing, deep conversations with some nearly random people as soon as we crossed that surface riding boundary. And we said, you know what? It feels somehow nice to go a bit deeper, even if I don't know you so much. So, from my experience, my boundaries are very limited in a way that they always shift and move depending on the situation and present moment. So I don't have this rigid, constructed boundary that no one ever will gonna cross it, or if they dare. So yeah, I have very flexible boundaries.
This is just coincidentally. I put this question together, God, probably 6 months ago. But this just happens to be coincidentally pertinent to you, I guess. How do you handle breakups?
Oh wow, I just had one, a few weeks ago. Well, it's a very good time to ask now because I did a lot of work in the last 3 years with some very deep relationships, intimate, from mind, emotions to sexual and body and life in general. And what these relationships that I had and then breakups afterwards, it brought me to this realization that I am here in this life for myself, and I'm here to live and express. And then I meet these beautiful people that, you know, something links up, and then we start to experience our life together in mental, emotional, you know, sexual ways and so on. And then many good things happening. Of course, there's going to be some triggers, relationships, like all of them, teaching us a lot. From my experience, that's the biggest teaching for me. And when everything is so nice and still a little bit of, you know, drama, a little bit of this integration, I would call it, between two parties, and then when the time has come where both parties, let's say, or even one party in this case, starts to feel like, okay, it doesn't work, you know, maybe I would be better on my own, or it doesn't work because of this and that, and if there is a communication and then the breakup happens, I believe for me the biggest revelation was that actually I love myself and I love other people and that person as much as close as possible to unconditional love. So for example, if I get into a relationship with this beautiful woman, and then we have some beautiful experiences, no matter it could be, you know, 3 months, half a year, whatever, 3 years or something, and then we have this beautiful relationship, and then it starts to fall apart, the breakup happens. I love that person as much as I can unconditionally, like I always did. And then now if they're choosing to go and live their life on their own and do whatever they feel like without me being so present in their life, I remember this unconditional love, that I love that person as much as I love everybody around me, and I wish the best for them. So if I wish the best for my ex-girlfriend as another human being, I wish her the best, even if that includes me not being there with her. And then it takes away all the jealousy, it takes away all the control and neediness, and it liberates me, because then I'm aware that person is as free as I am, and they can do whatever they want, and I love them, and I'm grateful for experiences that we had, and we might not have similar experiences in the future, and it's absolutely fine. So yeah, unconditional loving, I would say. Unconditional loving. Wishing the best for everybody, even if they were your intimate, sexual, emotional, mental partners. We still should love them unconditionally after the breakup and set them free. And at the same time, how to deal with that a bit more. So that's the kind of more mental state of it, which leads to emotional, loving that person. And at the same time, I embrace my emotions. Recently, I'm really going with that, let's say, loss and breakup, to kind of really let go and feel into it and go with it and cry if it's needed to be cried, shake it, play the music, sing some songs, to kind of really release it, embodying. So feeling on my own, sitting down and kind of really feel that pain until it's gone. And I did many times already. It's painful, it's uncomfortable, yet it's not what the heart is all about. The heart is always loving. It's only our personal, some kind of, I even don't know, vibrational connections that we are aware that we're not going to have that loving maybe connection with another person, and it kind of opens nearly a gap where I believe is a part of me was giving my love to another person. Now that my loving me is there is no that love to give to someone. That's I think what the breakups are really hard, because we realize that we're not going to be able to give our love to that person. That's why it's a bit hard at the beginning. So what we need to do, and what I did, I just thought, okay, so now I take all that love from that person that I was constantly giving because I was really caring about them. I'm going to give it to myself. I'm going to go on the date with myself. I'm going to go for a little dance somewhere on my own. I'm going to go and experience something I never did on my own. And that's where that breakup and loss comes together, where we need to take our love that we were giving to other people and give it back to ourselves until maybe another person comes where we fully loving ourselves, and then another person comes and something happens and you're like, oh, now actually I can give this my love to this person, until maybe the time will come we'll decide that we're not going to be together anymore, and then we'll have to take that love of ours externalized and bring it back in. So then we feel fully again loving ourselves, and there is no need to give it to somebody else for whatever reasons.
How do you nurture friendships?
Friendships. I'm a bit like a cat, actually. It feels like I'm reflecting on it a lot, and it feels like I'm a bit like really like a cat, that no one can really own me or really make me do what they want me to do, even if it's a very strong friendship. So I'm like a cat, no one can own me. At the same time, I'm ready to give my love and my care to the relationships that most likely gonna reflect the same thing back to me. Because for the last 10 years, I would say nearly, I was really externalizing my relationships, my friendships, and kind of doing my best to support those friendships. I realized actually that I was leaking. I didn't have so much energy and power and time to really go and support all these friendships that I really wanted to support, while at the same time I realized that on the other side, I'm not really, sounds selfish in a way, but I'm not getting anything from that relationship. I don't get any inspiration. I don't get too much support. I don't get integrity or growth. So then that relationship becomes something like this surface ride, which is not for me. I'm a person to go deep, either it's intimate relationships or if it's friendships, even if it is a work-related relationship, are always willing to go deep with the people around me. So to nurture the relationship, from my personal perspective, I'm just making sure that the people know that I am there for them anytime. I'm checking on them, how they are, especially if they having bad time, I'm always doing my best to be there for them if of course they need it. And at the same time, there is this natural now kind of alignment happening, that every time I go somewhere and I experience some kind of relationship, and if it doesn't really naturally, I would call it, fulfill me, either it's inspiration or some kind of deep revelation what the life is from the another perspective, or if it's not kind of supportive, then naturally I become aware, okay, this relationship is not really for me, because there is not too much like positive exchange, and I'm embracing this more and more. And then I had to shut down some of the relationships where I realized it was draining, and it was I'm only giving the energy and it doesn't come back to me. If it's not like I really need it, yet I'm experiencing now different relationships where I'm just being myself, naturally giving my love to the people that I care around me, and they give it back to me. And then every time, let's say at the end of the day, I go home and I'm thinking like, wow, you know, I've never had such a good time with that person, you know, and it was the first time that we had such a good time, and it felt like that communication, relation in general between us, it was nurturing me and nurturing another person. Even they text me and they say, wow, I really enjoyed spending time with you. So just by being aware which relationships are like that, nurturing both sides, I'm more likely gonna go and spend my time for that and invest my energy because there is a growth and expansion and living together, you know, supporting one another. It's like becomes this cycle of life where I'm here for you, I know you are there for me, you know, and then we're still here for one another, and then we kind of going with that, and naturally it kind of supports, you know. People approach me when I'm having bad days, somehow they know it, and then they support themselves and they remind me, oh Mantis, you know, it's gonna pass, just do your thing. And sometimes I ask some people and they're like, oh wow, thanks for reaching out because, you know, I'm going through this and what do you think, and so on, so on. So I'm nurturing the relationships which are nurturing me back. Sounds selfish, I'm aware about it, yet I stopped wasting my time to the relationships that it's one way. I don't have any more energy to give to something that's just gonna take and take and take and take, because even now I'm aware there are many more relationships happening around me where it's very much supportive and exchanged and co-created and collaborated. So yeah, I'm going towards those to nurture those relationships instead of anything else. Yeah, man.
So, final question. How do you fall in love with life?
Fall in love with life. Wow. I'm falling in and out. I'm falling in and out with love for life, with life. I think actually it was the biggest breakthrough where I took some psychedelics and I asked to really connect to my higher self and to have a look what is this. And it brought me to the realization some time ago that the whole life is a playground, is loving, supportive playground. And then myself, you know, growing young at school, with my family, all this society conditioning and everything, there was not so many things to really tell me that, oh, that's why you should love the life, or that's why you should love life. It was more like, that's what the life is, and that's how we deal with it. And don't ask questions, which my mom, I give thanks to her, she taught me that it's always good to ask questions, and that's what I did. And after all this conditioning of my mind through all the social structures, let's call it, and at the same time my family, and a breakthrough with psychedelics at the same time, I realized that life is loving, and the love is always within me. It's always there, beyond all these conditionings, all these emotions, my mindsets. That love for life within me is always there. The only thing is that I'm not always aware about it and tuned into that, because from my soul level, I love this life. So many colors, so many sounds, vibrations, energies. I have this body here. I don't consider myself being anything more than universal consciousness expressed through this kind of playground and levels. And behind all of this, there is this loving, that creation itself, which is still part of me, myself, somewhere back, I don't know, in subconsciousness. I wanted to come here and experience this, and I knew that I'm going to be loved and I'm going to be looked after and cared for as universal child on these lands. And as soon as I became aware about that, it brought much more love to the whole life situations, more acceptance, and it revealed to me that soulful, loving self-expression is always within me. It's just I'm sometimes too far away in my dreams and my ideas, what I want to live, what to experience, and so on. And at the same time, little things. Sometimes the little things really make me fall in love with life. Is, for example, like a smile of a stranger on the street. This little contact with the eyes for 3 seconds, and then he smiles, I smile back, or I smile and they smile back. These little sometimes things, or like I'm walking somewhere and there is this bush of flowers, and I can smell it from the distance, and I come to it and then I smell it closer. And this, at the same time, these small little things makes me remember that the whole life is love, and I do truly love to be here. I love to experience all this uncomfortable and comfortable, all these super highs, universal conscious dimensions, light and love and everything, and at the same time to go down to the shadow and my traumas and my doubts and insecurities. And all this crazy dance is so rich and so amazing and so unpredictable and magical that and I have this curiosity to even go and find out what more it is. Even that's why I'm doing even this in front of this camera, this new thing, because it feels like, wow, something new. It makes me feel richer. It makes me feel excited, and I believe that's what makes me fall in love with this life. I wouldn't call it even love. I would call it like the super excitement, super strong desire to kind of go and live and see what's beyond that I've seen, to experience beyond what I experienced, and to know that there is a lot of this mystery and magic in this. And I believe that's what drives me to live my life, to feel that the whole life is looking after me and loving me, and at the same time I do my best to give that love back through me. This little smile on the street, a little, I don't know, a move of some plant that I might believe that they might get hurt, or this kind of passage, like passing the love that comes from life through me to all the life around me. That's why I respect all the plants, all the animals, because I know that we are connected. I am them and they are me, and that's what keeps me alive and loving. And even if I'm experiencing uncomfortable things around me, I still know that love is behind. And that's why they say that love can be powerful and love hurts, like in the song, love hurts. It does hurt because we're not in love. We still, if love hurts, we're still in our either head, that it doesn't reach our expectation or our desires, or we lost something, because original true love for life is unconditional, and actually at the same time it's kicking even our ass with all life situations, to remember that the love is to expand and to grow and to do good and be good. So it's a mighty force, that love. Even the love itself, I see the love is not like, oh, I feel really connected or somehow or good about some things. I feel like what the love is this whole thing which binds everything together. It's like nearly these laws of existence holding my hands together, so it's my hands, and like this nearly the law of the whole life, in seen and unseen. And from my personal experience, is doing its best to support all of the creation, as humans, animals, plants, and everything. So I fall in love with simple and little things in life, and at the same time with all the good things in life and the bad things in life, because I'm aware that life is based on love. It comes from love. It will maybe end up with love. And that's what it is. It's one love, man. Someone love. Uh, something like that along the lines.
It's
isn't it?
all about love.
It's all
baby.
about love, baby.
It's all
Exactly.
about love. Mantis, thank you for sharing your life lessons.
Oh, thank you so much, Dan. I'm looking forward to see more of people sharing theirs.